DKT UPSC CSE। अगर आप केवल सिविल सर्विस परीक्षा के प्रीलिम्स, मेंस और इंटरव्यू के वीडियो देखना चाहते हैं तो सब्सक्राइब करें DKT UPSC CSE चैनल। यहाँ आपको टॉपर्स के वीडियो रैंक के हिसाब से अरेंज मिलेंगे। चैनल के लिंक के लिए डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में जाएं।
Hello everyone, I am Urvashi Jain. I have secured All India rank 15 in the Indian Forest Service examination, and in this video I want to discuss my prelim strategy. I have cleared the Indian Forest Service cutoff in the prelims examination in the exam 2021 as well as in 2022, and in the Indian Forest Service 2021, that was my first attempt and second attempt at prelims. So with regards to my strategy, I want to divide it into 4 aspects. The first would be I want to discuss my sources. The second, I would share with you how I divided my day or the timetable that I followed, or the general time strategy that I followed with regards to covering the syllabus in a span of around 4 to 5 months. The third would be to discuss the current affairs strategy. And fourth, I would tell you how I attempted the paper and how I usually go about attempting a prelims paper. So sharing my sources, talking about history, I read the NCERTs, the new NCERTs which are theme wise, as well as the 6th standard to 8th standard NCERTs initially. Now this was to get a broad understanding of all the aspects of history, and I think they were also extremely useful in trying to create correlations with things that we study today or the contemporary times. So my main source for the NCERT, now throughout my preparation with any of the sources that I am discussing, I heavily relied on the internet also. So wherever I was reading something and I wanted to supplement it with a greater understanding of the topic or to gain additional knowledge, I would always have my internet open and Google, and I would Google each topic, and then whichever whatever content I found useful, I would store that. So that was my initial strategy. Now for polity, I relied on Lakshmikant, and I used to read the articles in the constitution because I believe strongly in understanding the wordings of the text itself. I also read the NCERTs for polity. Similarly for geography, my major source for the NCERTs again, and geography requires I think a visual understanding. So I used to watch a lot of YouTube videos that are easily available. One source is the Met Office. This is a YouTube channel of Australia's climate department, and they have short videos on the climate topics, and that is what I relied on. I used to also make a lot of diagrams. That was my main notes for the prelims sources. Now for the other parts, for economics and again I have read the NCERT and I made my own notes. I refer to the Vajiram notes for the same. Similarly for international relations, the current affairs material such as the monthly magazines etc. of coaching classes. Now this was my main base because it is a very current oriented topic. Again for the environment also I did the same. I just went through the current sources, and I supplemented these with the 12th standard NCERT for biological sciences because it has certain chapters which are dedicated to ecology, which is really useful to build a base for your environment. Now having a really strong command on environment even during the prelims preparation was advantageous to me, especially in the forest service for the mains as well as the interview, because being a service which is majorly in the sector of environment, having a command on these different topics as well as the current developments is useful throughout the preparation. So you can focus additionally on that if this is the service that you want to aim for. Now throughout my preparation, I only made notes for those topics that I believe that I had to refer to certain topics in a tabular format, or have divide everything into lists. So I would make multiple lists. I had a list of Ramsar sites, list of biographic regions, list of books that are found in Indian history, list of places that are mentioned in specific minerals. So instead of I did not personally make notes topic subject wise. Rather, I would do it topic wise only for those topics where I believe that having an organized tabular format or having certain diagrams would help. And then For most of my other preparation, I used to read the source books directly. That was what I personally found useful. This will vary from person to person. But I would encourage everyone to be very smart about the time that they are spending in making notes, and try to explore the various kind of note making formats initially into the preparation. See what is helping you retain whatever you are learning and helping you revise it in a fast manner, and then opting for that strategy rather than having a fixed mindset of how you would go about it. Now, with regards to my timetable or how I divided my time, I personally like to divide my entire day into number of chunks, because it gave me a lot of satisfaction at the end of the day to have a checklist where I would check the major aspects that I wanted to cover. So I would spend 1 to 2 hours on current affairs. For this, I would read the newspaper very thoroughly, and I would also read the monthly magazines or any current affairs material found on the internet by just looking at any topic which was very prominent in the news or was recurring in the newspapers. So I would spend around 1 to 2 hours a day doing that, and every time I would pick up, would do the same the next day. I would revise what I had learned the previous day. Similarly, for the main different GS subjects, so I again would spend around 4 to 5 hours on one subject, and then another 4 to 5 hours on another subject. So I would cover 2 to 3 subjects per day rather than trying to pick up one subject and covering it holistically, because I believed more on the breadth-wise coverage of the syllabus, and trying to ensure that I am focusing on every topic equally, every subject equally rather. So I would divide my day like that, and I would also, like I had also joined a lot of Telegram channels where they would post daily questions or questions in the format of the prelims paper. So anytime during my free time or when I was having lunch, etc., I would go through these and I would try to keep attempting these questions, because that habit of answering questions and trying to think in a format that helps you eliminate the options, I think that became a part of my muscle memory, and I wanted to learn how to do that. So this was another aspect I focused on. The third thing that I did was I also went through the previous year papers very thoroughly, and I would Google each option, or I would try to go back to my source notes for each option which was present in these questions, and then try to analyze on various fronts how I would answer the question. So I would divide it into 3 parts. I would look at the question, and if I had read this directly in any of my sources, then I would mark it as a knowledge based question, and I would understand that these kind of questions are to be answered based on reading and revision of your source content. Now, for the second category of questions, these were questions where I would have heard of the topic or had some idea of what was being asked, but I did not have exact knowledge, and I would have to eliminate or guess between certain number of options. Now, to make these intelligent guesses, I think you have to develop the intuition, and this comes with a lot of practice of test papers and mock papers. And for the third part, these were questions which I had no idea about. So then for that, I would try to read up a little bit about, and then I would try to analyze if I can answer that question without any previous content or without any previous knowledge of what is being asked. So for this, I think going over the multiple previous year questions and analyzing the kind of pattern that is asked is very helpful. Regarding the practice test, I personally believe that the more number of tests you do for prelims stage, it is extremely useful because it will give you an idea of your strengths and weaknesses. So in my initial days of preparation, when I was giving tests, I had analyzed which topics I was able to score decently, and then which topics I would keep making recurrent mistakes. So I was able to then direct my preparation to focusing on those subjects where I did not feel most comfortable in, and try to spend less time on the ones that I was able to score to a decent degree. So I think the tests mainly help not just in gaining knowledge and trying to fill the gaps in content, but also in analyzing the direction in which you should take your preparation. And this has to be a very continuous and holistic process. I started giving my full length prelims mock test right from my initial days of preparation. I continued it till almost a week before my actual prelims paper. The duration or the number of tests that you have to give, I think that is a personal decision. I also think that once you have given a test, I spent a lot of time in analyzing that test paper. Now, the analysis was again more on in terms of my areas of comfort and the number. Like I used to experiment with the number of questions that I'm attempting. So, in order to get my score above the 95 to 100 mark, I would try to experiment on the number of questions that I should attempt in each paper. And another thing that I did was I used to give the open mock test series that most coaching institutions have in order to get a general understanding of where I stand among all the other candidates preparing for this service. With regards to my last part, which is how I attempted the paper, I think one of the main important things that I focused on the day of the examination in both my attempts was number one, making sure that I am very particular on how I'm using my time in the exam. So I had practiced in such a way that I knew the number of questions I had to finish in every time slot. So by giving more number of practice tests, I had an idea that I had to complete, say, for example, around 30 to 40 questions in 30 minutes, another 30 to 40 questions in another 30 minutes. So that was very easy for me to just look at the time during the examination and then keep track of where I stand, where I am currently when I'm answering the questions in the paper. So managing time is extremely important, and I think to manage time, staying calm, staying extremely composed, and not letting any question affect your attempt on other questions is very, very important. So one of the things, like in the examination, I think my paper started with the science and technology questions, and the initial 5 to 10 questions was something I was not comfortable in, but I did not let this change my manner, change my nature or demeanor during the exam. It did not affect the next set of questions that I was doing, which was probably from another subject such as economics or environment. So I think another very important thing is to being very objective in the way you're answering the questions or trying to work around solving the particular questions, and having a presence of mind. So for a lot of questions I actually had not read about in any of my notes or sources. I tried to analyze it with things that I have learned or observed in my real life, in my experiences so far, and I try to bring that kind of perspective in eliminating the options, which is something that gives an extra advantage of 4 to 5 marks to every candidate. So this is again something which comes with practice, but also comes when you are staying composed during the paper. So I think I have shared my prelim strategy, and it is something that every one of you who is attempting the paper has to experience as well as persevere throughout the months to ensure that your attempts are being planned in a very meticulous and strategic manner, and not letting the scores of the mock papers or your general productivity affect what you believe is that you will crack the paper and your conviction that you will be able to clear this exam. So I think being positive throughout your preparation, and even accepting that we cannot always be productive throughout. If you are preparing for a year, there will be challenges that you will be facing. There will be times that will be that you would be able to exceed your own targets, but at the same time there would be times where you would not be able to meet your daily targets or meet the kind of expectation you have of yourself. And I think the most important thing is to understand that as a human being, it is going to be difficult to sustain, but just staying positive, being easy on yourself, and constantly reminding yourself that the cause for which you want to get into the service, I think that helps a lot in staying motivated, in staying calm, and in taking the process how it is and with a lot of positivity. So I wish all the success and best to all the candidates who are watching this strategy video. And I thank Delhi Knowledge Track for giving me this opportunity to share my experience with others. Thank you.